So
Perfect.
on the either side of yours.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to lead off with yours, I can your times
Either way.
for
Sure.
for your
Well, you're going to be
trip.
if you're going first.
I'm going to go first and then after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out.
Bookend.
Bookend it. Mhm. Sounds good. Well, we'll get this episode of Minerals Live off the ground. So let's see here. If I can remember, I'm doing it so few now. I don't remember how to do the controls as well as I used to.
I'll need to play with this. I need to figure out how this stuff works.
We'll talk about that later. Anyway, welcome everybody to another edition of Minerals Live. Our main subject today, this is going to be the great show that we just did, the CIMGE show over in China. Not sure how they work those letters, because it's actually the China Nanjing International Mineral and Gemstone and Fossil Expo. So they
missed a couple of letters.
They abbreviated even the abbreviation. So I don't know, but that's fine. You know, it's a good combination of letters. At fantastic hall, as you can tell just by looking at the outside. Certainly at the Tucson Convention Center doesn't look anything like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful, beautiful show. Anyway.
Very nice.
Yep. Any questions you got first before we roll out and talk about the city and the show?
I'm actually, because since you've been back, we've been so busy, we haven't had a chance to talk to that. So I'm actually as excited for this episode of Minerals Live as anybody out there, because this is going to be the first time I'm hearing really a lot about the China show too. So
fair enough. Yeah. About the first 5 days I was back, folks. I tell you, the jet lag really rips you up when you flip your day and your night, completely invert it, and then flip it back again 10 days later.
I can see that.
It really messes with your brain. But anyway, moving right along. The first thing I was greeted with was the view out of our hotel balcony, and I was really rather impressed with the work our employee over there did getting a nice hotel room for us.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I love
panoramic view of the city. Huh?
The juxtaposition of the big skyline in the background, and then which I think is the more traditional Chinese roofs in the foreground there.
Right. That's a little park there. That lake is very famous in China.
Nice.
And they have parks and everything everywhere. It's really quite nice. And starting to go into dusk hours. See that pavilion there on the left, that's where they hold a lot of smaller functions. Nothing like the facility that we were in the show at.
Ah, cool. Lights up.
Yep. It's really nice. It's a nice place to come back to after a 12-hour grueling day of being at the show, setting it up, and then going out to the obligatory dinner every night.
Oh, see, that's where I really, really envy is all the food.
Oh
man.
Well, gosh, I think I put on at least 7 or 8 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
In 10 days.
And I've heard Nanjing is like an especially good area for food.
Oh, it's really good. Everything is most tasty. Yeah, I put this slide a little bit later in the show, but we may as well just flip it up there now.
Ooh,
this is one of the ways they prepare duck.
Nice.
Yeah, they completely gut it out and stuff it with rice and all kinds of other goodies, and of course they have to leave the head on for the presentation is everything.
You got to know it's duck.
You got to know it's a duck. Yes. And anyway, but the real duck there that's more famous for Nanjing is a kind of a salty brine boiled duck. It's quite good with the sauce, but I really preferred this one. This looks good. Really good. I think this meal in particular was one that I gained a lot of weight on quickly. Everything was just overdone. That everybody wants to impress you with their entertaining and hospitality, and there's 3 times more food on the table than anybody can possibly eat. So,
nice.
Yep. And but it's all good.
Oh yeah,
anyway,
it looked great.
Yep. So moving into the show floor area, this was our booth. ZZ did a really good job. We tried to keep it a little more minimal than what we've done in the past. We used to ship 3 crates of rocks over there, 3 full crates of rocks, and this time we only did 1. So we made our back room a little bigger, and kind of made a spacious thing, because when the crowds come through at these shows, they're big.
I can imagine that. I like the nice little seating area up front.
Right. Yep. That's where I perched myself most of the time to be available if anybody had a question for the white guy. Let's see. And after opening, things started to fill in a little bit. You can see the size of the hall here. And this is just the main area where the more major dealers, they consider the more major dealers, we're at. And you go back into the wings and everything. It's where all the smaller bead and jewelry dealers are and wholesale mineral dealers are and all that. It's really quite expansive. I'm not exactly sure the total number of dealers at this show, but I'm guessing it was somewhere in the 150 to 200 dealers.
Nice. Yeah. And was it mostly minerals?
There's a lot of jewelry
Okay.
and a lot of beads and things of that nature. Fossil things, petrified wood, even carvings and all kinds of other objects to art.
Well, carvings is one I would pay attention to at a show like that. I bet you could find some really, really amazing carving deals.
There was some cool things back there, but due to an issue of we're not being able to put anything in our crate to come back, I didn't even bother looking.
Fair enough.
Yep. And as the day, one thing about our position in the show hall, it faced east. We're right up against the windows, so in the morning, it's like we were lit up. So in the afternoon and evening, it was a little less bright, and I think a little more comfortable in our booth.
Okay.
As you can see, it's a little less bright in this part of the show floor at this time of the evening, and it was very nice. We did very well. And Saturday, it really started to ramp up. Got super busy. It was a free to attend show. There was one small area that you had to pay if you wanted to go into. I'll show you a slide of that later.
Okay.
But in general, anybody who wanted to come to the show could just walk in the door.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, question,
Sure.
like Tucson Gem Show and a lot of larger shows have like a kids' day. Did they do a kids' day at the Nanjing show?
Well, Saturday actually happened to be the International Children's Day or something of that nature. So, we'll get to that here in a minute as well. I have some pictures of that. So that was Saturday, and this is Saturday as well. You can't... Well, anyway, we'll move right along. Cool. One thing, since Brian was unfortunately unable to attend the show this year, it befell upon me to do all the interviews and everything, which every little network and news outlet wants to come in and get you on camera and interview you so they can have a nice story, and it's interesting.
Very nice.
Every one of them. Go ahead.
Oh, did your Chinese get a workout?
Oh yeah, yeah. I could instantly tell that it had been 5 years since I'd been over there. I used to be able to at least keep up with the conversation, listening to it. I never was able to really speak much, but listening to a conversation, I could kind of keep up with what was going
Keywords,
on. Yeah, kind of get the gist of what they're talking about. Gone.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, it's down to like 10% rather than 40%
Yikes.
of being able to understand what's going on. So if we're going to continue doing this, I'm going to have to bone back up on it again.
Fair enough.
So anyway, we'll move along from there. One of the really cool booths was right next to us. In the thing, this is kind of the China equivalent of the National Geographic.
Oh,
cool. In the Western world. It had a beautiful booth. They had all kinds of wonderful little paper puzzles and animals and books and video presentations. It was really neat.
Big paper shark up there?
It is indeed a really giant paper shark. This thing's about 6 feet long. It was really cool. I inquired about actually trying to buy one.
I was going to say it looks like a kit and I want one. That's awesome.
The only way they offered it was already assembled, so there was no way to put it in our crate. So they had small ones, that were like a foot long, but they're just not as cool as this thing.
That's super cool.
This thing was amazing. And I didn't even bother asking how much the price was, so don't ask me that. But yeah, it's really cool. And moving over, our neighbor to the left there was Mr. Liu. He's a big mineral and fossil dealer over there. He has a really nice display. Mostly did a lot of artwork. I'm not sure where... There we are.
Oh,
show that one.
Okay.
You can see on his wall he had a lot of artwork up. He had a really interesting kind of display over there on the right of the industrial applications for all these minerals. China kind of shows you, a pile of the ore and example of the mineral and then a description of what it's used for.
Oh, I like that.
So it was neat.
It looks like a pretty killer kunzite on the right side.
Oh, not bad. Yep.
And so the artwork, was it mosaic gemstone material?
I believe so, yes.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So, and then Mustafa was there as well. He was on the center aisle. And sorry, I'm kind of reaching around you here.
Oh, that's cool.
I always put the microphone in the worst possible spot, and I just have to reach around it. And this is looking down the center aisle. You can see I really love the construction at these shows over in China. It's not the general pipe and drape that you see in most of the shows here in America. There's a little more to it. Fortunately over there it's not anywhere near as expensive to construct something like this. They do it in a couple of days. It looks very nice, and then after everybody moves out on Sunday evening, the bulldozer comes in and they smash it all down and start over again.
I've got to say, one of the things that is a really huge difference, like a lot of the big shows that you go to in the U.S., everything is so uniform. Seeing the pictures there with all the different colors where the dealers are very distinct in their presentations is really, really nice.
Exactly.
And
that's in the front higher end area.
Yeah.
So you can see once you get past Miss Cheese booth, this kind of all green one, that would be the wife of the person who
I was wondering if that
this.
was her. Oh, I would have loved to. I bet she had some incredible jewelry.
Oh, and here she did very well.
I would love to have seen that. I've gotten. I love going shopping with her. She's
there. You go. Anyway, once you get past her booth, you can see everything becomes more uniform with a distinct logo for the area. All the mineral booths had Amazonite, and all the fossil booths had a fossil on it.
Nice.
So it's well put together.
It's a good looking show, and
it is.
And it looks in the space too.
Right. Oh, down the center aisle, there's tons of space.
Yeah.
Well, going back to what we were saying, the crowds can get pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
This show was nothing like the one that we had, the first CIMGE show we went to. 8 years ago, I want to say. The government really wanted to, it was the first time the show was in Shenzhou. They moved it from Changsha, and the government there really wanted to make sure that it was very impressive and the attendance was great. So they gave everybody the day off and told them to come down to the show.
Oh my gosh.
And this is an area where there's like 10 million people.
Oh dear Lord.
Oh yeah. From the moment they opened the door, I was like up against the wall like this, and just a sea of people going by. It was the most unbelievable event I've ever been to in my life. And there's pictures of Brian. I didn't tee one up for the show. I mean, just this mass of people, and then Brian, poking 2 feet up above everybody else.
Well, see, now there's a good U.S. policy I could get behind. Tucson show, Denver show, everybody gets a day off. Come to the show.
There you go.
I support that.
We'll work on it. We're working on it. Anyway, back to where was I? Kind of down here. I kind of had these sort of arranged. There's was Mr. Lou's booth again. Yep. He had these really cool cases that had this kind of twirling disc thing. Let's see, where...
Are those bolted to the floor? Those would make me nervous.
Oh, no, they are not bolted to the floor. And one kind of thing you can see around the 4 little legs, especially with the crowds, I can hear where they come from. They could get pushed over really easy.
Oh, that terrifies me.
Yeah. When they put the carpet in, they put a layer of plastic down because of the construction of this, and even until the last, 10 o'clock the night before the show's open, there's sawdust and dust everywhere. So there's plastic over all the carpet in the booths, and you can see the little white things around every one of the little foot
because it was sitting on the plastic.
Because it was sitting on the plastic, and they had to cut around it for every one of those little things.
You're supposed to do that really quick. 1, 2, 3, pull.
Yeah.
And all the dishes remain standing.
No, they opted not to do that.
Fair.
Is this the one? Yep, this is the one. Let me show you. It's a little easier to see in this picture of these cases. On the top, there's like this little disc of LED bulbs, and those things rotated.
Okay, that's cool.
And those panels rotated, and it really created an interesting sparkle in all the gemstones and cut stones that were in these cases. It was really neat. Okay,
I really like that because that's scintillation is not usually something you get to see in a static display.
Right.
Yeah, and motion, especially for gemstones, but with some specimens as well. of course, optics is my background with minerals,
Sure.
and the quality of light. Like there's a Mexican labradorite that is a faceted gem. It's like the light just goes down there, sets up shop, and just crawls around the bottom of the gem and just has a day as you're looking at it. Opal has its own quality, so I really like that idea.
Yeah, it's really neat, and you can see in that picture again. I'll go back to it. You can see where we're right up against the front of the building. So in the morning, there's so much sunlight coming in there. It diminished it a little bit, but by mid to late afternoon, these cases are really cool to look at.
Okay, now I'm inspired. We're going to have to do like a case like that for like high luster minerals.
Sure.
So we can see that twinkle.
Sure. Just Mr. Lou will probably be at the Denver show. We can ask him where he got the cases.
Yeah.
And one interesting thing is I was walking down the aisle, hadn't seen this person yet, and I kind of glanced over, and I saw this guy crouched down in Mr. Lou's booth. And then I got a better look at him. Mr. Brian Swoboda from Blue Cat Productions was over there. He was invited by Mr. Pung, the promoter of the show, to come over and kind of do a film documentary of the show, and he really did a good job.
I saw some of his little live spots during the show while it was going on.
Right, right. And of course, our employee over there, ZZ, had to go over and tease him a little bit. And there were a lot of actually foreign folks there. Chris Kyleman, the promoter of the Hard Rock Summit here in Denver, and the Munich show, of course, was also at the show. Jolien Ralph and Ida Chow from Mindat were there to do a grand opening of a certification lab that they're setting up there in Nanjing.
Interesting.
Apparently
and
there's
Jolien
Ralph.
Wow. Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't have a picture of him to put on the show.
Is that Gene in the background?
That is Gene Myron, yes, in the background, hanging out in our booth.
Cool.
Yep. He's like 92 now. Yeah,
he's still jet setting around the world.
He's a mineral junkie.
Yeah,
he can't miss one of these shows
for sure.
And then this area here is it's called the collector's exhibit area, and Mr. Pung invited some of the more prominent collectors in China to put in some displays. It's kind of like the displays at the Tucson show. Yep. And then this next to it over on the left there was Mr. Pung's personal display, where he had I can go back to this picture. This tourmaline morganite specimen from Brazil, this thing's giant. It's like 2.5 feet, 3 feet.
Nice.
And he had that in there, as well as other mosaic artwork and a large malachite crystal, all that in this one little pavilion here on the left. And that was the one thing in this whole show that people had to pay to go into.
Was to see that specimen.
Was to see that and the other things that were in there.
Nice.
I'm not sure exactly. It was probably like 10 kwai, $1 or something like that to go in there.
Gotcha.
But it was the one thing in the whole show that people actually had to pay for.
Interesting. So, question on the displays that people put out in that section you were talking about. So those are Chinese collectors who put those displays out. Did you find that the aesthetic of did they have some garnish, so to speak? Did they have some other things put around? Was it just minerals in cases, or was there a different aesthetic to what you typically see with American displays?
I didn't go in and take pictures of every case. I probably should have.
It almost looks like I'm seeing plants in there.
Yeah, there were. Okay. And this is the one on the very front right of the display is a big Pakistani aquamarine, and there were some carvings in there, and like say plants and all kinds of objects to art again.
Interesting.
They're very varied in their collecting taste, and they like to mix media.
I like mixed media displays a lot.
Right.
One of my early experiences in collecting minerals was a Tennessee collector, and he has minerals. His wife was really into wood turning, and not only did just incredible vessels out of wood herself, but she also collected other people's work, and they displayed their collections together, and the wood and the minerals together just made for an absolutely amazing mixed media display.
Very cool. So From there, one thing I always like to see at shows are old friends.
Oh, that's a big boy.
Yeah, that's a huge crystal. It's kind of the junior to the Alma King.
It's very reminiscent.
Yeah, this one's about 3 inches on edge, and the King I think is 4 or 5, something like that. This is a big crystal out of that pocket, the rainbow pocket at the Sweet Home line.
Wow.
It was nice to see it again. And
nice.
of course, he had it in there, as you can see, with rhodochrosite jewelry.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. That was the general theme of what he was doing. He'd have a tourmaline and tourmaline jewelry, and that barrels and barrel jewelry. It was cool, Mr. Lou. That row of cases that we were talking about a little bit ago. And we've already done the duck thing, but yeah, I'll just go ahead and flash it up there again.
Lunch is coming up.
Oh yeah, food is always good.
Who's got duck in golden?
I don't know. The closest place I know of to get authentic duck is down at the China Market on Alameda. Yeah. They got the roasted ducks there.
Oh,
and they're really good.
Union Boulevard might have some.
It might.
Check that out. Yeah. Raven duck.
Give it a chance. Anyway, going back to International Kids Day. Here we are. They handed out these red bandanas to all the dealers first thing in the morning, and all the primary school kids. They all wear these.
Gotcha.
To school. It's kind of part of the school uniform. So as part of International Kids Day, they gave all these to the dealers and asked them to wear them, and I dutifully complied.
You get your synchronized wave going on.
Well, yes, that's also part of the morning routine, apparently, for the children there, is to salute and
cool.
And all that good stuff. So it was a lot of fun. It was a fun day. And, gosh, there were a gazillion kids there, all dressed up. It's just, it was a very interesting day. This little girl was
adorable.
The shaved head I thought was interesting, so I had to take a picture of her. And one of the attendees, this was kind of interesting as well, does 3D printed mineral crystals.
So benitoite?
That's a benitoite that was 3D printed.
Neat. I like the idea.
Yeah, and she had all kinds of stuff. It was really impressive.
That's fun.
What she does, yeah. So yeah, I think she could do well with those, selling them.
For sure.
So, and then of course there was the fossil area. And,
dinosaurs.
That was my son's favorite part of the show. He and my wife, of course, went over there. They're still there. They'll be there until mid July. Got to see the grandparents, and yep. So he was having a good time.
The thagomizer on the Stegosaurus there.
Yeah, there's some big boys there, big Brachiosaurus. Wow. You can't. The next picture, you can kind of see his head. It's way up there and kind of tiny, so it's not really impressive in the picture.
Still, no, that's the height. That's just crazy.
Yep, that was they needed a haul like this to put something like that in. But,
yeah, for sure.
But it was cool. All the different, like we were saying, the different. He covered it all: the International Mineral, Gemstone, and Fossil Expo, and it went even beyond that with the petrified wood and artwork and everything. So it was.
So the question I have is, when you're doing something like that at a show, which I've seen some decent fossils at a show and stuff like that, but like bringing something like that in for a weekend, they have to construct that whole thing on site, don't they?
Yes, that's one of the reasons you don't see that in America, right?
No, that's like the man hours and the workforce to do that. That's impressive.
Exactly, and like you say, they were in there a week before the show started, putting that up, and probably several days after the show, tearing it down. So Mr. Pong had to rent that hall for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. Just to put all that on. It was an incredibly impressive show.
Nice.
And then my last day after I left there, we went down and spent a little time in Shanghai. I always love that city. It's an incredible city. If you ever have a chance to go to China, I highly recommend Beijing and Shanghai. Shows kind of the polar ends, the modern and the historic. And down in the Bund, it's just beautiful the way the buildings are all lit up. And skyscrapers go on seemingly for 10 miles. It's that big of a city.
Is it seaside?
Yeah, well, yeah, this is right on the river. It's right on the river. It's I don't know exactly how far from the sea, but not too far.
Nice.
Anyway, so encapsulates.
Very cool. That's a cool show.
I wish I took a few more pictures of a few other things, but when you get wrapped up there in the middle of it, I did what I did. So it was a lot of fun. Definitely Mr. Pong is bringing that show along. This is only the second year of the show, and apparently it's already twice as big as it was last year. So
very nice.
It definitely has a good trajectory to it.
I look forward to getting over there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe next year a bigger group can go as the show gets bigger and more things start happening. Yep. One thing that we need to do is get Jen one thing. As you can see in this picture, she still used our old logo in the in the display. You can see the new one on the side there is our reserve logo. So it was all represented on the banners and everything. We had our new logo and the old logo. And interestingly enough, that's our logo on the left there of our Chinese company.
Nice.
So it kind of covers everything, all three. And it was fun. Definitely a lot of fun. Beautiful show. And anybody who wants to go over there, I highly recommend it. The one thing I would say is don't leave your travel plans to the last minute. Because if you want to go to this, I would start planning in March.
Oh, yeah.
To make sure you get your visa, because that takes a little bit of time unless you want to expedite it, which costs a lot of money. And so, you want to start several months ahead. Get things organized, and I highly recommend it. You spend a few days at the show and then travel a little more around the rest of the country, and you'll definitely have a great time.
Very cool.
Yep, highly recommend it. So, anyway, any other questions, Mr. Clark?
The only other question that really occurs to me, just thinking about my experiences at shows and things, are the Chinese collectors primarily aesthetic collectors, or do you get just as many who are interested in the geology, the crystal form, the makeup of the...
Some, but not... They're very close to where we're at. They just like bigger.
Okay.
Generally, bigger is better. Either bigger or smaller. There's a huge collection people over there that collect thumbnails and miniatures, and then it jumps up to... large cabinet. And
so size is a more significant value factor over there?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
For sure. And they've come a long way since we did our first expo there in 2010 at the Geological Museum in Beijing. That was a lot of fun. But 14 years ago now, hard to believe.
Yeah.
Time flies.
That it does.
It does. So anybody out there who has any questions, don't hesitate to give me an email, richard@collectorsedge.com. If you have any questions about what you see here, or just maybe if you think you might like to go next year, definitely give me an email, and I'll help you out the best I can.
Yep.
One recommendation I got from actually Gene Myron at the show was the best way to get your visa is to contact a travel company that goes over there a lot.
Makes sense.
Yeah, don't go straight to the consulate, or try to do some of the stuff yourself. If you contact somebody who sets up and organizes tours to go to China, they have it pretty well dialed to be able to get you. It may cost you a little bit more, but they have it really dialed to where they'll get you your visa very quickly and efficiently.
That makes sense, because not only are they used to doing it, the government's used to working with them for them to do it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's all I got. Anyway, we got some minerals for sale here today.
We do. You got a nice list today.
We're going to start with a fluorite. Let me think about this. Take a look. You know what? I did not put one mineral from China on this show.
I can run into the vault and find something real quick.
I wasn't thinking. I really probably should have done that, but oh well. Anyway, we'll start with...
We got some nice scheelites.
We do. Yeah, we do, for sure. We'll start with this nice fluorite from Arango. I really like this piece.
That is nice and aesthetic.
Yep. Almost has that alien eye quality about it, but not quite. Can't really call it an alien eye pocket piece, but it has that quality about it. You can see some, the phantoming in it that comes close, but not
sharp
quite.
zoning.
Yep. It is. And this piece measures 9.5 by 10 by 5 centimeters with fluorite crystals up to 2 centimeters across.
And I just really love how that one's perched right there on the top.
Exactly, for sure.
Nicely
Let's go ahead and get it on the turntable here. Oops, I want to do that, and then that. Oops, no, actually I want to do that, and then that. That's better. I tell you, I'm a little rusty, folks. But anyway, it's a really pretty piece.
And the green does look closer to the picture.
Yes,
it's always
true.
It's always difficult.
It's a little washed. This light's good, but I try to turn it down, and then the camera auto adjusts, and we really need to get a better camera. It's our perennial problem.
Yep.
Trying to make do with a Logitech camera. But super specimen, good size piece, and I think really well priced as well. We'll let it go by around here one more time. You can see that one crystal on the lower right really has that alien eye look to it. And
especially when you get it from the side there.
There you go. Right. Exactly. So, go back to the still. And I want to make sure I give a shout out. This is the one picture I really pirated. Give Jeff Scoville photographic credit on this.
Nice.
This is a picture that he did for the Proctor Family Trust.
Oh, very cool.
Specimen. So I got to make sure credit is given where credit is due, or I'll get a call.
So this is a Proctor piece?
This is a Keith Proctor piece.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, really nice.
And on today's show, we can do this piece for $1,600, which I think is a pretty good value, and that's shipped to your door.
That's a great deal.
Yep. So if anybody has any interest, let me know. Specimen number 1. Moving along, we got a piece from the Span collection. I think another pretty good value. It's a nice large cabinet hemimorphite specimen from Santa Eulalia.
I like these. The contrast with the limonite matrix there just looks absolutely amazing. The radiating crystals on that looks really, really good.
Yep. You're gonna need you to talk a little bit while I get things set up here.
So the hemimorphite overall is 13.5 centimeters high by 11 centimeters wide and 8.5 centimeters deep. It's kind of a vug, really, is what you're looking at. You got that nice depth. And we're talking about scintillation. That's a nice thing when you've got it on the turntable here as this rotates around. And it's the luster's showing very nicely from where I'm sitting. There's some great luster to the crystals on this piece. And, of course, a nice Sunnywood base for it there. It's always an added value.
Right.
Especially for a big piece.
Right. And it's so large, I can't get it completely in the doing without going past the background, so I apologize for that. But at least you can see a little bit of a 3D look to it. I think it's a really cool piece, and I think it's very well priced for what it is. Especially coming with a Sunnywood base, which is a few $100s by itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, no. I got stand corrected. This is not a Sunnywood base.
Not a Sunnywood base. Well, it still looks like it's a.
Yeah, it is a nice acrylic base done by somebody in Grapevine, Texas. So mounts really, really well there. Anytime you get a good base with something, I always consider that a significant value add. I agree.
Because I can't tell you how many specimens I've got that was like, haven't got around to making a base for it yet. So it's nice when it's all done.
Exactly. Yeah, it really is kind of cost prohibitive. I'll spit it out, prohibitive. But, it's worth it in the end because it presents your mineral much nicer and it makes it more secure and safe. So, excuse me, very nice. Do we give the dimension of the largest hemimorphite crystals?
No, that's 1.5 centimeters for the largest crystals. Interested to see how things wind up with Mexican minerals. They just had significant elections, so I'll be interested to see how if we're getting more or less stuff coming from Mexico.
True. Yeah, things are really changing around the world, but we will not get this show into politics. So moving along.
Fair enough.
$1,850 for this piece, shipped to your door, like we were saying, with a nice display stand already pre-made. I think is an excellent value. So absolutely, and kind of going back, we'll take a little brief respite on the mineral presentation and go back. If you see these things and something like this, I think I generally don't pick things that aren't safe to ship on the show, but if you like, Christopher and I are going to be heading out on our summer road trips here pretty quick.
Yeah.
I believe I'm going to be out from about the 17th of July until the 5th or so of August, and you're going to kind of bracket me.
Yeah,
with
so
a trip
I'm
east and a trip south.
looking to head north and east. So basically kind of north of the Mason-Dixon
There you go.
on, beforehand. So like the first couple of weeks in July. And then afterwards, second couple of weeks in August, down more southerly regions, but still making it over to the East Coast.
Great. And I'll be heading down south first on the beginning of my trip, generally because of the open houses we do at the gallery there in Tucson in May and November. It's usually the end of my trip, so on this trip I'm going to make it the start. So, try to keep it as fair as possible. There's some people down there that whine a little bit. Why am I always last? So anyway, this time you'll be first.
Nice to change it up.
Right.
Exactly. That's kind of the same with me. I usually go south and up, so this time doing the north one first.
There you go.
It's nice to do.
Yep. Got to keep it balanced.
Yep.
Keep everybody happy. So just in case, we'll give that one more shot. $1,850 for a 13.5 centimeter tall hemimorphite specimen from Sendiolali. I think this is a super deal.
Absolutely.
It gives you a big look in your case for not a lot of money. So.
And I like the contrast with that nice orange with the limonite with the
exactly.
white crystals.
Yep.
Striking piece.
Very, very. All right. So I'm going to need your help again here a little bit.
Gotcha.
Because I'm going to need to redo things.
Here we're looking at a very nice azurite crystal from the CIMGE mine in Namibia with malachite there as well. 6.5 by 8 centimeters and 4 centimeters deep, with the main crystal of the azurite there being 4 centimeters tall. So absolutely classic locality. Really, really nice euhedral crystal perched on the top there. I love seeing those gross striations as well. A little bit of that alteration on the malachite there. And you're a little closer to it. Is there a bit of transparency in that crystal?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Just
seeing some
sometimes
reflections
azurite
there.
has that illusion, but generally no. Sometimes there's a micro millimeter layer on the edges that are translucent, or if it's a really thin crystal, it can get transparent, similar to linerite or something like that. But
very, very sharp.
yeah, no, this is a great CIMGE piece we're able to offer this at a steal of a price now, in my opinion. I didn't give you the price.
I am eager to see what the price is.
Oh, it is a mystery, isn't it? I did not put it on the list. Well, I'm holding out on you.
Anyway. There's all sorts of suspense for me on this show.
Well, that's just how we roll. We'll go back to the still picture and then go across.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. That is 1975. Yes. Sometimes the color contrast isn't good, and I have to squint a little bit to read it. My own thing. But less than $2,000 for a CIMGE azurite of this quality is, I think, pretty killer, and the size of it.
Yeah.
Yep. So you gave all that.
Yep, I sure did. So that would be like a small cabinet size or bordering on cabinet. I mean,
small cab, bordering, like you say. I don't know the specifics.
Exact. Where's that line of demarcation?
Right. I'm pretty good with thumbnail through miniature, knowing exactly what it is. But once it goes into small cab, what the lines of differentiation are, whatever. It's a cabinet size specimen.
And again, blues and greens are always so difficult.
Yeah.
I just eyeballing it here without looking through the camera. I think you'd be really happy with it.
I agree.
If you could see it in person.
I hate to say it, I generally avoid azurites on the show, but I thought this was such an outstanding value, I had to throw it up there.
Oh, glad you did. It's a great piece.
Yep.
I love that crystal shape.
Yeah, really. And the way it's just perched right there on the top, I think it's killer. Anyway.
And it sits nicely on its own.
It does. Just kind of plopped it down there and cranked the camera down, and here we go. So
very cool.
Yep. Moving right along.
Yep. So we get into a much more rare mineral here from a little bit further to the south, the Nanjing mine in South Africa, an etrangite. And we're looking at 3.2 by 1.3 by 1.1 centimeters for the crystal here. And These are just representing one of the hardest colors to get in your case. I always tell people, when they go to a show, of course you'll see more of it at a show like the one you were just at, but like when you look at cases in general, like red and really deep pinks are usually the least represented color. And then second to that, usually bright pure yellows are the hardest color to get in your case if color is important to you in your collection. And Etrangite's just a really, really great crystal to show that.
Absolutely. Like Chris was saying, this is a 3.2 centimeter crystal on a little base, nicely presented from the Jim and Gail Span collection. And we were happy to be able to offer this, I think, at a pretty killer price of just $675.
Very nice.
We throw that slide up there so everybody kind of knows where we're at.
Yep.
And so this picture is a little oversaturated. I tried to fix it in Photoshop. It's a nice yellow crystal.
It is.
Trust us. Go back to the turntable shot.
And not an easy one to find.
No, not at all. It's very lustrous, as you can see. We're having it. It wants to reflect a lot of light as it's spinning around there on the turntable, and it has great color. Beautiful, bright lemon yellow piece.
And at 3.2, that would definitely fall outside of the thumbnail, so you're in the miniature category there.
No, you're in the toenails.
Toenail, that's what it is. Thumbnail, toenail, miniature.
And I don't know, you might be able to squish this diagonally in a 1-inch box.
That's possible. I don't know if that's considered fair play or not.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it is? If you can get it in there, it's good to go.
If you can get it in that 1-inch box, on its head, it counts.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's one of the competition games they play.
And I do remember being told that where thumbnails are concerned, you do want it to fill that box.
You do. Yeah, small thumbnails are really, unless it's something extraordinary.
Yeah.
A Nambulite or some really weird thing.
Still looking for an Nambulite.
Yeah. But anyway, give specimen number 4 a consideration here, folks. I think it's a great deal at $675 shipped to your door.
Yep.
So, moving right along, we can go to
specimen this is a favorite.
Number. Yeah.
Okay.
I knew you'd like this one.
Yeah. So these, we did really, really well to show with our Orongo and our Cocoveld material. It just flew out the door so fast. And this, just absolutely. I would love to see even more of this material come out. The Shadakites over quartz that we got from this particular patch of the Cocoveld were just representing some of the finest blue color that I have seen in minerals. The image and the camera neither are doing justice to the quality of color in this blue. Nice sharp quartz crystal, incredible blue color. I just fell love at first sight with the color on these pieces.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely amazing, and not too many of them. We only had maybe 4 or 5.
Right.
That were good specimens.
Good quality for their retail room, right?
Exactly.
Yep. And this is a super nice little miniature. Interesting form, the way
it is.
It must have grown up against something and dissolved away, and then the Shadakite came in.
Yep.
There on the backside. And then it has these micro crystal quartzes sprinkled across the surface. I thought at first those might have been little cerusites, since it also comes from that location, but they are little quartzes. Nice. Just like a millimeter or two, little pimples on the quartz crystal.
Yep.
But it's neat.
And again, so this is 4.7 by 4.4 by 3.2 centimeters for the size. Just absolutely incredible color. And that's is that Apangawe prospect?
I worked on this yesterday. Apangawe, yes.
Okay.
Apangawe
prospect. So we actually had a more detailed location for that. But yeah, the Shadakite coming out of there, man.
Right.
It's absolutely incredible.
Incredible. Absolutely. You go back to the still. And the price on this is equally impressive, I think.
Yeah.
At just $350 delivered to your door,
sure.
this is gonna be the first thing to sell.
That's a great
sure.
deal, and a real eye catcher at that size. I mean, like I said,
Right.
the quality of that blue is just going to
Yep, absolutely.
drag the eyes right over.
Yep, like Christopher said, the still picture and what we're capturing on the turntable just don't do it justice. It's a beautiful blue color, vibrant. So, well, we could gush on more about this if we wanted to, but I think we ought to move on to the last one.
And what would be a good thing to show for a last one for us?
Specimen number 6 on this show.
Have we done this before?
I think there is a little bit of a tradition here. Yep.
There we go.
It's a roto from the Detroit City portal of the Sweet Home Mine.
Yep. So this is the 2002 pocket. And when you get these, that's one of the things, you get some of the ones that have like, Graham's pocket, Steve's pocket, and most recent Baker's pocket. Those represent larger pockets. The thing that I find cool about the numbered pockets is there were only a very few pieces in those. So those are, more unique little pockets as far as like, there may be only 2 or 3 of those. So yeah, 2002 pockets there. That would have been what, after Dino's, before Zach's?
I believe after Dino's and Zach's.
Yeah, or after Dino's and Zach's. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was in 2019.
Yep. 4.3 by 6.3 by 3.5 centimeters with the rhombohedron 1.3 centimeters on edge. Nice piece here. Nice color.
Very good. Nice associations. I really like it with the sphalerite, really well crystallized sphalerite, and pyrite, and a little bit of quartz, kind of salted across. All that in there. I think it's a really super representative piece. Again, for I think a pretty good value.
I almost think I'm seeing like a teeny tiny little purple fluorite right at the edge of that pyrite there in the middle.
Maybe. We'll have a gander at this.
Here you go. I got one right here.
Mine was around here somewhere, but you got it handy?
Yep.
That would be a yes.
Yeah. Cute.
I would guess that's about a millimeter or 2, probably 2.
Hey, checks the box.
It does. It does indeed. So, as Christopher was saying, just right in there.
Yep.
Anyway, super killer little piece. Super price.
Yep.
Go back to the still.
Yep.
There we go. Oops, I probably ought to do that first. That makes it better.
And this piece is going to be $2,450.
Yes, sir. Yep. And well worth it. Not too many of these things come out of our mine. Not enough of them. So,
nope.
If you knew how much folks we spend at that mine working, and what we charge for these, I think it's pretty cheap.
Quote Brian, the Detroit City portal has proved that rhodochrosite is rare.
Yes, indeed. So, anyway, Christopher, that was, I think, a fun show.
Absolutely.
We need to...
It was especially fun for me because, like I said, a lot of that information was really new to me. So I'm excited. I would love to go to that show.
It's great.
I really, really would.
Yep.
If we can both go, then we can have some more time to actually walk
around.
Some more time to walk around and experience it there.
So I'm certain Brian will go next year. So I don't know what he's going to want to do. If he thinks he needs 3 people there, but we'll see.
Close the shop here.
That's it.
Gone.
Yeah, that's it.
Gone to China.
Going to China. Going to the show. But I highly recommend it, and it's not to harp on it, but for a city in China, this is really nice, pretty, and. This was taken from the balcony of the Holiday Inn there, just to give them a little shout out.
That's a heck of a... I've never had that view at a Holiday Inn.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, it's a different standard over there. Nice. You go to a Holiday Inn here in America. I don't want to get sued, but it's a different level. Howard Johnson's falls into the same thing. I stayed in a Howard Johnson's once in Heiko.
Sorry,
somebody's calling in for a mineral already.
Thought I had everything down. Apparently, the alarms override that.
Well, it's 11:50. It must be lunchtime or something. But like I said, I just finished that thought. I stayed at Howard Johnson's once, and it was like, this cannot be a Howard Johnson's.
Wow,
it was pretty amazing. But anyway, enough of that. we're not here to promote hotels or any of that kind of stuff, but we are here to promote the show. So again,
sure.
If at all you have a taste for going over to China, seeing a mineral show, and maybe doing a little tourism around the country, I really highly recommend it.
Yeah. Check out your local clubs and shows near you. Get out there and look at some minerals this summer. Come and see us at the Hard Rock Summit in September. That's going to be the main show's going to be, or the main Hard Rock Summit's going to be from the 12th to the 15th. But there's going to be shows in the Denver area starting as early as the 5th,
right,
all the way through the 17th. So come out. You're going to find all sorts of great stuff to see, and look around for little pop-up or trunk shows around you as well. You know, we'll be going around the country, and might set up in a nice hotel near you.
Near you, yeah. Or at somebody's house. We're leeches that way.
Yeah.
Go for free rent.
But we'll bring food.
We will. We promise. So, and as Christopher was saying, even the Hard Rock Summit is having kind of an advanced wholesale show out in tents out in the parking lot area of the Westin Hotel up there in Westminster. So, you may want to come early, come often, as Graham would say.
Yep.
Shop the wholesale area first, and then come back a couple days later and check out the indoor area.
Great venue. We hope to see you there.
Absolutely. And Chris Kyleman, as we were saying, he is your promoter there. There is a website that's Christopher on the right there. Obviously, not the one in the center or the left. Yep. He's a great guy, super good communicator. If you have any questions or whatever, go to the Hard Rock Summit website, and then info@thehardrocksummit.com for emails with questions. So, anyway, Christopher.
Well, we'll see you on the road, and we'll see you here in Denver.
Yep. And again, you want to give everybody a little reminder, you're out north and east.
North and east is going to be around the, first and second week in July. And then down south is going to be the second and third week in August.
Great.
Yeah.
And I'll be arriving in the Phoenix area around the 18th, 19th of July. I can think here. I really can. I'm sorry, folks. I'm still a little jet lagged. And then I'll end up in the Bay Area the weekend of the 3rd of August. So, anyway, thanks for watching another episode of Minerals Live. We really appreciate your watching, your viewership. It's great. We get a lot of positive comments from this, and I think we kept the rambling to a minimum this time.
We tried to.
Yeah. So, anyway, thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next time on another episode of Minerals Live.
See you soon.
Yep. Go to this. Sorry, folks. Still out of practice.